here tonight to tell you about, or to help, because you're friends of the Earth, I want to share with you this research that Edwin and I have done on really practical, effective actions that people can take. I think it's, for years, when I started off at DHL and before that at the Environment Council and in various environment consultancies, I was going around saying everybody needs to do a little bit. And did you know that if all the 10 million office workers saved one paperclip every day for a year, that would add up to 27 tonnes of steel that wouldn't have to be transported and manufactured and moved around. And so little things, as small as a staple, add up over the years. But I think now things in the environment have got it really so bad that actually we need to take really effective actions. A lot of the tips that we found in our research, there are about 200 tips on what people can do. And actually when we sat down and worked out the effect they have, they're really very minimal. And I'm going to test you, because I want this to be interactive and make you think a bit about the actions that people take. Now, how many in the way of tonnes of carbon a year, how many tonnes do you think switching your TV off the mains saves? TV off at the mains with no standby saves a year.
Not tons. It's going to be a few kilograms, yes.
Yes. Hazard a guess, how many kilograms?
50.
That's close. Anybody else?
That's the closest.
Right. Anybody wants, do you think 100. More or less?
100. Less.
No, up a bit. Oh. It does save a little
75.
Bit. That's pretty darn close. It's 70.
Pretty good clues there.
Boiling a kettle, what do you think? How many kilograms do you think?
How many times a day?
This is one of the problems. I do want to try and get away from, this is on average, I think. I'm talking about average. I want to get away from haggling over a few kilograms, thing like that. This talk I really want to focus on effective actions. So go with me, this is average.
The average number of times somebody boils their kettle.
Yes.
For an average year.
How many?
10.
More.
More.
A boiling kettle.
Boiling kettle, on average.
Per year.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said a day. I was going to no wonder.
Oh, lots. 500.
Fusing plastic bags.
Oh, that's not very much, is it?
No, you're right. I mean, it does. There is a campaign about plastic bags, and it is a little bit tokenist, actually.
It's a powerful message. It's a powerful message.
It's a powerful message.
It's about 10 or something like
somebody's
that.
going to find out, and then it'll backfire.
Yes, I think you need to know.
That's the problem.
Yes.
No, but it's more about what we're doing to the countryside. Isn't it?
Exactly.
The waste.
Okay. But as long as you bear that in mind, it's not about necessarily.
Yeah, it's not carbon.
Cloth nappies versus what about using cloth nappies rather than disposable?
That's per baby or per person in household, presumably.
You're not meant to ask this kind of question.
But that's
On average,
that's totally different from per person.
500.
Sorry, I'm not really quibbling.
On
there.
average.
Well, in terms of energy use, they're pretty close anyway.
It's zero difference.
Makes
No
the waste.
difference.
It's very good for landfill, though, isn't it? Not having all those filling up the land.
Heating up. I mean, there are tips out there saying heat up your food in a microwave rather than cook it in an oven. How many tons do you think that's?
One dinner a day in the microwave.
The microwave must save a lot.
I reckon
No, it's doing all your meals.
half as much as the oven.
Not all.
Probably about a tonne or something.
No, not a ton. No. Listening to the radio for 1 hour compared to switching to a wind-up radio.
Nothing.
Not much.
10.
It's actually more than heating up your meals in the microwave, but that's an average, remember. All those actions add up over a year to 1 tonne. So So they do add up, and you mustn't stop doing them. I'm not saying don't do them, but I'm saying they're not as effective as we necessarily think they are. No, well, no, yes, they still fly to New York because they think, well, I'm doing my bit. I'm having a shower rather than a bath. I can still fly to New York. So we thought it was time that we provided some effective action, and so I want to share that with you so that you can then cascade that information on and persuade other people that they can take really effective action. I think also a lot of campaigns have been very much about trying to get everybody to do everything all the time. But actually, there's some really interesting research work from the Stockholm Institute, and it came out at the same time as we were doing this, and that was where they've analysed the carbon emissions per postcode, and there's a staggering difference right across the country. Some postcodes have, on average, the household has, now this is where I have to, places like Richmond's have an average household carbon footprint of about 36 tonnes per household. And other places in Paddington and flats and things like that have an average carbon footprint of about 14 tonnes per year. Now, to put this into perspective, the Climate Act is committing us by 2050 to cut our average carbon emissions down to 5 tonnes per, is it per person or per household? About. So, but this is 2050, so there's quite a way to go. I think that it's really important that we have focused and targeted information at the people currently who are above average emissions. And the average person has a carbon footprint, and particularly in Richmond, has a carbon. Is it 26?
That might be per household.
Average across the country. This is the difference. It's per household and per individual. The average person in the UK has a carbon footprint of 12 tonnes per year, and it's broken down into. For this report, we've broken it down into 4 areas: travel, home, food, and stuff. That makes it quite easy to think about.
Is that a breakdown of all our emissions, including commerce and everything?
Yes.
Per person?
The 12 does include...
so it's not just personal consumption, it's an apportionment.
It's when you buy stuff, for instance, it's how that stuff is manufactured.
Yeah.
It doesn't include, there's about the government consumes about 1 tonne per person in terms of heating of hospitals and lighting and of infrastructure, so that's street lighting and things like that. They do about 1 tonne on our behalf. So I do think it actually needs concerted action in 3 fronts. First of all, it needs individual action in changing our behaviour and taking effective action, but also businesses need to give us low carbon products and services, and that sort of things like switching more to leasing rather than owning materials, it's things like, well, streetcar is a wonderful example. You don't have to own a car, you can use one, and it's a pay-as-you-go car. And actually that's a really good way to save a tonne by switching to something like streetcar. Obviously it depends how much you use it, but they find that by using streetcar you drive less anyway. It saves me about at least £1,000 a year.